Happy Monday, everyone. It's weather for Weather Geeks time on this beautiful January day. Well, it seems like January anyway, and wait till you get a load of the temperatures tonight and tomorrow morning. It's really going to feel like the dead of winter. Our snow event is in the wind down phase, as we expected, here early this afternoon. Thank you for everyone who has sent in their snow totals, their snow reports, their snow pictures. It really helps us out to determine what's gone on across the valley. And overall, I would say our forecast has worked out pretty well with we settled on a good average of 4 inches in our forecast yesterday. There was some waffling over the Friday to Sunday period where we put the highest totals because the storm track shown by the computer models was wobbling enough, and it came far enough to the west that we had to move the highest snow totals off to the west. There was actually a time that we thought, well, southern Lawrence, southeastern Columbiana might get the highest totals. But as the storm continued to track farther west, it was dragging in more and more warm air, and that drags the higher snow totals to the west and brings in enough warm air that we had some mixed precipitation down towards East Liverpool and over towards Newcastle, and that has certainly cut down on some amounts. These are snowfall reports called into the National Weather Service. Now, some of this information is several hours old, dating back to this morning, but at that point, Latonia reported at 7 a.m. about an inch. Towards Salem, couple of inches, again, pretty close to sunrise. Surely we've added on some to these. We had a report up in Newton Falls of 3.8 inches at 7 o'clock this morning. I think overall, while some places picked up 5, here and there, especially maybe in this zone, western Trumbull out into Portage and Geauga, I think 4 ended up being a pretty good number for most of the region. The lowest amounts, probably closer to 2 or 3, definitely southeastern Columbiana, southern Lawrence. And the snow is compacting and settling very quickly. So if you go out and measure this afternoon, surely the amount has decreased that you're going to measure compared to a few hours ago. This is a very wet snow. Temperatures are close to freezing, and the snow is compacting. But overall, I would say our forecast ended up being pretty good. As far as the radar here, pretty close to 2 o'clock. Here we go. The back edge of the steady snow is exiting. What we see off to the west is lake-enhanced snow where the Arctic air is. So let's pause the radar here, zoom in a little bit closer, and again, as I record this, we're starting to lose the snow in most of the valley. Temperatures, that becomes the story from here on out. All right, let's bring up the latest temperature contours here. The numbers are not pretty off to the west. It's already dropped into the lower 20s and upper teens in western Ohio. Cold front right along I-71 this afternoon, and this is the air that's coming our way. It's in the teens, Chicago, out into Michigan. Find some single numbers out here if you look closely across the Midwest this afternoon. And so the cold air is on the march. Here in Youngstown, again, we've actually cracked freezing. We're at 33 as we head towards 2 o'clock. Wind chill values off to the west. Take off the contour here, make it maybe a little easier to see, hopefully. Anyway, wind chills are already down in the single digits out in parts of western Ohio and into Indiana this afternoon. As far as the surface pressures, let's show you those. Yeah, we got the surface pressures up. Notice how tightly packed the isobars are out here across much of Ohio, Indiana, Illinois. That is a strengthening wind, and you bet the winds are really going to start picking up here before the afternoon is through. Let's show you some of the model estimated wind speeds, in fact, as we go into the last part of the day today. The end of the afternoon, according to the latest HER, high-resolution rapid refresh model. Are they going to come up or not? That is the question. Model fill. Well, looks like maybe the wind speeds don't want to show up. If I try the NAM model. No, doesn't seem like it wants to. Anyway, it's going to turn windy by the end of the afternoon. There we go, just taking its time. The deeper blues here, the darker blues, are wind speeds up into the 20s to 30 miles per hour. And then overnight tonight, here we go at 10 p.m. A lot of wind out there, especially over Lake Erie. Look at that, well over 30 miles per hour over the lake. So that's going to create some pretty ugly wind chills overnight tonight. And with temperatures dropping like this, here's the temperature trend tonight. You walk outside this afternoon, there's a lot of slush and a lot of standing water, some puddles, because it's 32, 33 degrees. And once the sun sets this evening, be careful if you're outside, because temperatures are going to drop quickly, very quickly, through the 20s. This trend shown on the graph might even be a little too slow. We might be in the teens as early as 8 or 9 this evening. And that's going to create a lot of problems with things icing over. And on the roadways, watch out for some black ice. Overall, the roads aren't bad this afternoon. Salt works very effectively at this temperature. The snow has not been heavy for a while, so the main roads especially are just fine this afternoon. You can get around just fine, but this evening, it might be a little bit deceiving. You're going to have to watch out, especially on bridges and overpasses. So spread the word, keep your speeds down this evening. It might be deceptively slick out there as we get a rapid freeze up. Wind chill value is also a story tomorrow morning. Might be some 2-hour school delays tomorrow morning. Not sure on this. I thought there'd be a lot more school closings this morning, so I'm not very good at predicting what school districts decide to do. Sometimes it seems like there's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it, but that's a story for another day. Wind chill values tomorrow morning, I think, are going to be in the -5 to -10 range. It's going to be harsh, and you don't need me to lecture you or preach to you about what you should do when it's this cold. You know the story. Take care of the pets, dress in layers, that sort of thing. Just exercise common sense tomorrow morning. It's really going to feel pretty nasty out there. All right, what's going to happen for the rest of the week? I think Tuesday is a largely uneventful day locally. Maybe some flurries, but boy, the lake effect is really going to set up in northwest PA and southwest New York over the next couple of days, tonight, tomorrow night. It'll keep cranking into parts of Wednesday. We're talking about 2-3 feet perhaps from Buffalo south in western New York and over into Erie, PA. I-90, do not even bother with it. Starting tonight and taking us into Tuesday and Wednesday. If for some reason you need to get on 90 and head that direction, just forget about it. It's not a good idea. We're talking about a bonanza of lake effect snow. As far as our weather in Youngstown, nothing more than flurries out of this, except for the extreme northern part of Trumbull and maybe northwestern Mercer. I wouldn't expect any lake effect accumulations. There might be a coating to an inch of snow with our little clipper moving through then Wednesday night, Thursday morning. This is an Alberta clipper system cruising through the southern tier of Canada. It's going to bring a reinforcing shot of cold air for the end of the week, but that will last only a couple of days. I do think temperatures are going to start to recover heading into the weekend and early next week, an early peak at the weekend then. Saturday, probably a fairly uneventful day with rain becoming more and more likely Saturday night and heading into Sunday. This next system is going to drag in the warmth, and it should be a rainmaker. In fact, here's the long-range temperature trend. We might flirt with 60 late in the weekend and perhaps into Monday of next week. So our snow is going to melt, but it's going to take its time. We're going to hang out below freezing most of the time for the rest of the work week, but then heading into the weekend early next week. Nice warm-up. Thanksgiving is a week and a half away, and at this point, not going to start speculating on any precipitation. That becomes an important forecast because a lot of people travel right before Thanksgiving, but fairly confident that it will be a chilly pattern for Thanksgiving week, just not like it's going to be over the next couple of days. Not a harshly cold pattern. We're going to lose this abnormally cold November chill by the end of this week and especially into the weekend. Well, thank you for watching the Monday Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you tonight on 21 News at 6 and 11, and another edition of Weather Geeks mid-afternoon on Tuesday.